If we're going to understand why the breast cancer industry is so problematic and should have been corrected decades ago, we have to begin by understanding what the glycocalyx is. And you may have heard me speak about the glycocalyx several times in the past. Every cell in the body and every cell in nature is covered with this halo of protein and sugar molecules. So these structures are made inside the cell. It's a protein core with a myriad of branching sugar molecules. These are simple sugars, monosaccharides, that are constructed and attached inside the cell, and then they're pushed out and they stay anchored into the cell membrane, but then they are dangling out into what's called the extracellular matrix. And this is the space, outside of all of the cells that are attached together. And the extracellular matrix is hugely diverse and sophisticated and composed by a myriad of proteins and growth factors, hormones, and it's composed primarily of collagen, which is a braided protein structure made of amino acids, the most prevalent one of which is called proline. And this gives the extracellular matrix a lot of strength, tensile strength, and there is another protein called elastin, which gives it elasticity, and the entire structure is highly organized and intelligent, you might say, so very complex that it's never been described perfectly by science, but scientists from all over the world, all around the world, using the same methodologies, are able at least to describe a lot of what's happening within the extracellular matrix, and how that communication is happening with the cell, cell signaling. So the ECM controls most of the basic behaviors of the cell. And one of the, there are many enzymes also within this perfectly organized, braided environment, microenvironment outside of the cell. And one of the most important families of enzymes are the metalloproteinases, MMPs. And it's a huge family, 23 members, and they are highly sensitive enzymes. They cleave, they produce so much of what goes into the cell, because a lot of what is in the extracellular matrix exists in a proto format. So it needs to be cleaved, like a lot of the growth factors need to be cleaved or cut in just a perfect way that they then become active. And it's the MMPs that do that. The cells need to stay hooked together, and they stay attached to each other by primarily a couple of proteins. One is called integrin, and the other one that's the glue. It's the glue that holds the cells together. It's called E-cadherin. And all of this is orchestrated. Everything that we've talked about thus far is orchestrated by hormones, and specifically estrogens. Now you might be thinking, is this E1, 2, and 3, estrone, estradiol, and estriol? Those are the primary hormones of the female body, but also, these are male hormones as well, at least estradiol, estrone. Estriol is the major hormone of pregnancy. But what we're going to focus on today are estrogen receptor alpha and estrogen receptor beta. Now, they always thought through the decades of the 20th century that there was only one estrogen receptor, just like there's only one androgen receptor, testosterone receptor. Those are all just the AR, the androgen receptor. And it wasn't until 1997 that the second estrogen receptor was discovered. So now they're alpha and beta. And the major key or ligand of the alpha receptor is estradiol. That's our major estrogen of our reproductive years. It's made in the ovaries actually from androgens, and it's also made partially by androgens coming from the adrenal glands. And it's very, very powerful. It's really the gas pedal of the car, if you will. It makes cells grow and proliferate, and it keeps cells alive. And cells have a natural lifespan. And if they're kept alive too long, they are very subject to genetic mutations. And that's not a good thing. So we of course need estradiol and its cognate receptor, which is the ER alpha. But the one that they discovered in 1997, ER beta, is the brake pedal of the car. And its natural key or ligand, it has a very long name, 5A androstenediol 3B 17B diol. It's called 3B diol for short. And this hormone receptor complex is the brake pedal of the car, as I said, and it is anti-estrogenic. It's anti-estradiol, anti-proliferative, anti-cancer. Not only that, but it's that and a lot more. And there are actually a whole discipline of study that looks into the paleo or the ancient history, if you will, of these hormones and receptors. And it's believed that the estrogen beta receptor really preceded the estrogen alpha receptor. It is ancient, going back to primitive fish. But all of this biochemistry that I'm describing, it not only takes place in the breast, in the ovaries, but the prostate is just thick with estrogen beta receptors. Anti-cancer, anti-proliferative, but it controls so much more than that. We talked about the way cells are attached. So it controls the glue. It controls the genetic production of that protein that we call E-cadherin. It controls so much more. Well, you've never heard of this. You haven't heard of it because it's been kept under wraps. It's just one of what I'm calling the new science of breast cancer, which they figured out really, over 2 decades ago now. And it hasn't been allowed to to come forth, into, past the journals that, of course, have reported on these scientific studies, but it's not part of any cancer treatment. And, at a later time, there's a lot of information. We have to take it bit by bit. But you've probably heard of estrogen positive breast cancer or estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. All that whole typing system that was created by Stanford scientists in the year 2000, 3 years after the estrogen beta receptor and all of its biology and biochemistry was figured out. These scientists knew about the estrogen beta receptor. It was completely discounted, completely kept under wraps. And the truth is, there are, in normal, healthy breasts, there are very few estrogen alpha receptors. It's almost all estrogen beta receptors. This is what keeps the breast healthy. Oh, there's just so much more to talk about. You can find this information in my new book, the Whole Woman Breast Book, which you can find at wholewoman.com. It's right there, front and center in the shop. And I hope you'll check it out, because this biochemistry that I'm describing, I think I began to say this, that it's not only in the breast, the ovaries, the prostate. It is in all, it controls all of the biology, the cancer biology in all of the epithelial cell linings that line all of the organs in the body. So we're talking about the colon, the liver, the gallbladder, etc., etc. Okay, so really, we're bringing the cancer industry to its knees. This breast book is just the first, I won't say shot, I don't like that word. It's really the first echoing of the trumpeting that is going to set this record straight. So that's all for now. I hope you'll check out the book, and we'll have a follow-up video of a whole workshop going in much more detail coming soon. Bye-bye for now.